morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is one of those videos that I don't know if you're ever actually going to see. We'll find out. In working with the card sketch this morning, I kept coming around to trying to start to build some fall cards, and there were some color palettes that I was really finding myself attracted to, and I couldn't really find the pieces that I wanted to do. So what we're going to do is something I almost never do. I'm working with a set I have. All of my Stampin' Up! Sets that I bought from someone look like this, and so in order to organize them, I just went through and I put them on the copy machine, and I made copies of all of the pieces, and so I have them on this ring so I can keep track of what I've got. Okay. All right, so I kept coming back to, I knew I had seen this in my stuff, and so I kept coming back to this, and so this is something I don't usually do. But what we're going to do is we're going to build this scene, okay? And so here's the wheat and we're going to stamp a couple of these, and we're going to cut them, then die cut them out, and we're going to put them in the background, and I'll probably have to ink them. And we're going to die cut this fence and this wheelbarrow. We're going to build this scene. We're going to see how it comes up, and I know I've got it on an odd color right now, but I've also got this really lovely little sentiment that says golden leaves, chilly air, autumn beauty everywhere. And since my air conditioner is still running, since it's really hot, I would really love it if that would happen. Autumn air. Okay, die cutting. Standard platform. I'm working with a Sizzix fold away. This is the adaptation plate. This is a magic mat. I can't do this without one. Okay, and you can Google them. They're only sold one place. Without them, I was replacing these mats because you put one of these on the top and one of them where the magic mat is going, and then they would cut through, not cut through, but they would get marks on them, and then they would warp, and then I couldn't straighten them back out no matter what I did, and I bought lots and lots and lots of them before I found the magic mat. Okay, let me move this paper back here out of the way. Not entirely sure how in scene in frame we are. See whether this is worth it. Yeah. Okay. All right, so lay that on there. Okay, so we're going to cut one piece of fence. Okay, then I take this up, and we'll clean that up here in a minute. All right, and then we will lay the wheelbarrow and the wheel that goes on the front on there, and if we were trying to conserve, we could squish that up there. And if I was worried about it sliding around, I would tape it down. Like if I had pieces that I was just like trying to see how many I could get. Now, most dies in and back once is enough. Okay. Some dies, it's not. Okay, and I will show you how I clean that up. All right, this is the next thing that happened is they stick there. There are tools. I just use my fingernail, and then see how I'm just like poking those things and they're falling out. That's fine. Okay, we're gonna need this again in a second. I should have stamped that first. That would have been more efficient, but that would have required really thinking ahead. Okay, there are what are called pokey tools that you can buy. I use a straight pin, but there's these little holes, and you push through that little hole, and then that releases this from the die, and you are very careful because you don't want them to tear. Okay, see how, I don't know if you can see, but the texture is there, and so we're gonna use some inks, and we're going to go over that, and it will give that a nice different finish. Okay, and then the same thing with this fence. And again, it releases really well. And we've got the texture on the fence. We don't need any texture on that. I'll need to get out some black ink because tires are black as far as I remember. Okay, the next thing we're going to do, this is very spur of the moment. This is not at all what I had planned. But isn't that what makes it fun? I mean, come on. Okay, and as we were working with the stamping platform before, we fastened our paper down so it doesn't move. Okay. All right. Now, the other thing I usually have out is some kind of a little container that I put my dies in after I have cut them, okay? And for some reason, I do not have that out because I have like had these dies with like multiple pieces and like lost like one little thing that's the foot of the animal. Okay. All right. I didn't really think about what color I wanted to make this, so I'm just going to use my vintage photo, which is kind of brown. And it should probably be more wheaty yellow, but I don't, there are some colors I just really don't have a lot of. Okay, two things about these. You can just press it down with your fingers. There's also a tool you can get that allows you to go around on it. Okay, all right, see how that whole spot didn't print? That's all this side over here. But we'll just ink it all over again. And I kind of want two of these. There we go. Wow, I'm kind of impressed with that. Okay, and wait till you see what we're going to do next. Gonna lay another one right here. Notice that these are polymer stamps. These are clear. I think it's polymer, that's what they call it. As opposed to the one I have used in a previous video, which was the red. Stamps used to come on wooden blocks. That was before, you know. Ooh, nice. If you are using one for the first time, you have to, it's called conditioning. I've seen people condition them by taking them and rubbing them on their jeans. But the plastic finish, the manufacturer finish is sometimes on the stamp, and it keeps the ink from sticking very well. All right, that came out nice. We're going to pull that off of there. I don't know where my sentiment is going yet. Like I said, I just hang on to the tape. Okay, now we're going to do the thing that is like really always difficult for me. And that is I only have my phone on because I am expecting a call. We have my husband's 95-year-old uncle is traveling from Tennessee to Missouri, and we're in Southern Illinois. So fortunately for us, he's going to be coming through here, and he's been mildly confused, so it's either today or tomorrow. We're not, so I have my phone on. He's supposed to call to let us know where he is. All right, so what you do is you lay the die around the image that you've stamped. It doesn't always work very well for me, but we'll see how it goes this time. And then I'm just going to ease that up and pull that off. I keep the tape pretty much, see how it started to pull the paper? Maybe you didn't see that. It started to pull the paper. Oh, look at that. Okay, that's not too bad. That would be, your other option in this case would be to fussy cut, which is not my thing. I have watched some master fussy cutters, people who can take a pair of straight edge scissors and go in and out of all the little images just like fantastically. And I'm assuming that practice makes perfect, or at least better than what I can do, but I don't find it calming. Had friends say, oh, I just print things out and I sit while I'm watching TV and I fussy cut, and I'm like, really? Okay. Then that comes off of there. See, that looks pretty good too. All right, I'm gonna put that up there. It will stick there. Again, there are little tools you can buy. I tend to use my fingernails, which is probably not good, but I use what I've got. Okay, I'm gonna set this aside. I'm gonna get one of my mats that you always see me pull down. Do you know where I get these? Do you? Do you? I get them at the Dollar Tree for $1.25. Okay, and I lay things on here that I'm gonna ink. Probably put a little bit of ink on these. Okay, I need the black. Of course, is making itself impossible to find. Black soap, that's my stuff. Okay. Oh, and I just dug around for something that was right next to me. All right, I'm going to work with a blending brush, though I could probably do it with the dauber blending brushes. These are actually makeup brushes. Sometimes they do the same thing, but you know that they're cheaper depending on which section. Like there's some paper at one of the stores I occasionally shop at that shall remain nameless. It's cheaper in the craft section than it is in the art section, and it's the exact same thing. Okay, let's just start with the fence. And I just like circle. Now, when you're blending, it is recommended that you start off of what you're blending on. Okay, this is I don't think it's not actual craft paper. I think it's 65-pound craft color paper. I dragged it, if you saw the shape, I just dragged it out of my scraps. Okay, and then I'm gonna want the top edges of the fence to be a little darker, okay, because they've been out in the sun. Okay. All right, and we're gonna like, oh, look how cute that's gonna look as we build this scene. Okay, that's the vintage photo. This is sepia, so it's a slightly different color, not a whole lot different, but just for maybe a little variation. Okay, it's going on just a little lighter. I'm going to get one more tool out. This is a tiny blending brush. And the board pieces going in, and I'm going to color those Do the same thing with the board that goes along the bottom. That holds this together. If this was an actual wheelbarrow. Okay. Okay. I like the way that looks. And then we're gonna dust the edges. This actually kind of gives it some dimension when you're putting it together. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing here with the little piece that's got them tied together. Okay. And I'm going to use my reversible tweezers to kind of hold this down so that I don't get ink all over my fingers. Okay. Right, let's glue. We're going to glue, trying to remember when I put this together, if this goes here, or if it goes there. I think it goes, I'm going to put it in the front. Okay. And we're putting everything on here. All right, let's kind of fiddle-faddle around with placement. So if I did that way, and we put this way, this would look great if I can find something to put inside it, and I haven't yet. Okay, and then we put the sentiment here. Okay, we're going to want to move those on top of each other. I'm sure there are more efficient ways to do this. I mean, as I said, I don't do this like this very often. Okay. And this hangs off the edge, so I'm going to cut these pieces off. So this will be 4. I'm putting that where I am to like delineate. Okay. It's summer here. They're calling it fake fall. We've got supposedly some beautiful weather coming in. But we are in Illinois, and if you know anything about 2025 and the way the weather has been, Illinois has been under the heat, what's called a heat zone, heat dome. Okay, I think I'm gonna do a dark brown, and if that's the case, and then I've got an idea about what goes in the middle there. Okay, which means I'm gonna take a big chance and put this back in the stamping platform. Yeah, you're really seeing me moving outside of me. This is like, I'm outside of my comfort zone here, folks, which is good for us. Okay, golden leaves and chilly air, autumn beauty everywhere. Oh, I love that. Okay. Now, I don't know if you saw it, but that kind of popped up. So I'm going to fasten that down a little tighter, because the last thing I want is to ink this up good and then have it, and like need to put it down a second time, because it looks like this stamp's only been used once. There's a piece of fuzz there that will cause me nothing but trouble. Okay. Here, the Autumn Beauty section, that's in there. There we go. That's really nice. This is coming together nicely. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video and try something because I'm not quite this brave. All right. So while I was working on this, I decided that maybe not bringing you along for this part wasn't fair. Okay. All right. See, that's stuck. I'm glad you saw that. I haven't put any ink on it yet, so it didn't hurt anything. This is fresh mint tape. But this is a stamp that hasn't been used, so it's an unconditioned stamp. Okay, we're going to go ahead and, in some respects, this will outline. We're just going to see what it looks like. I got my blending pens out, or pencils out, just in case I need to add some color. All right, the center point of it, again, didn't ink through. And again, what's not hitting? It's closer though. I've been told that it has to do with making sure that the ink actually has time to soak into the paper. And that does appear to be part of it, so we're going to try and we're going to ink it one more time. Make sure that it's not just I haven't just been rubbing it with a part of a pad that's dried out. You can imagine how it would have been to do that if I was working with an acrylic block and I was hoping I could replace it, and that would just like have not worked well at all. Patience pays off. Okay. You pull it at an angle. If you pull it straight down, it's more likely to damage the paper underneath, which in this case is not too much of a problem because we're getting ready to die cut that. Okay, we're going to blend. These are Stampin' Up! Blending pencils, I think. I haven't used them in a long time. And one of the reasons I can get by with doing this is I'm using archived ink. Had I been using Distress Oxide, what I'm doing right now would be a problem because I'm going to put some blending material on top of this, and if I was using Distress Oxide, that would upset the ink. Okay, I think I got most of the little leaves. Like I said, I never do this. I can't believe you all talked me into this. Okay, and then we've got that's Cherry Cobbler. That's real red. Rich Raspberry, that's kind of that purpley. Flirty Flamingo is pink. And then you just use this blending stuff. Tombow makes these as well. I don't know what the liquid is that's inside. It appears to be a little bit like kind of sort of working with watercolor, maybe. Okay, but it does kind of tend to smooth it out. Let's just put this on these tulipy looking things over here at the side. Oh, that doesn't look too bad. In fact, that looks, against the brown, that looks almost like the red that we were using. I'm going to color this one the same way because they look like the same kind of flower. And then we'll do the inky thing here. Okay. And then we have the aged mahogany, which is, we're going to get really brave and some of this down. And this is Distress Oxide. Okay, boy, that's really pretty. It does what I want it to do. Right, let's get the folder back out and put a couple of my things away here. These are magnetic sheets that are fastened inside here. This is what I use for all of my dies. I use the magnetic sheets that you can buy, and I just buy them wherever I can find them. Okay, and that's the one I need. Fingers crossed. These are going in that inside the wheelbarrow. That's where they're going. Okay. We'll get our mat back out. Okay. Gosh, I feel so brave. Okay, so I slid this piece over the top of the wheelbarrow so it looks like it's kind of in the wheelbarrow and out of the wheelbarrow. Okay, let's figure out where we're going to put the glue. All right, we're going to put, for right now, we're going to put the glue right there. That will be enough to hold it until we can get it in place. I'm smiling, you just can't see me. Okay, this is a very different video. This is not one I would necessarily consider totally beginner friendly, but it sure has been fun. It's part of, you know, what happened here is, you know, I saw this sketch and I started thinking, you know, this reminds me of, I'm going to leave that stick out there for the moment, but I may need to cut it off. And, you know, you start getting reminded of something that you bought or something that, boy, wouldn't that look nice, and boy, wouldn't this be fun. And if you can't just like have a good time every once in a while, then why are you doing this? You know? Now, another thing that I try to do, because I know that my stuff gets mailed and shipped and all of that, I try to glue down those little edges. Oh my gosh, isn't that adorable? Okay, that is going to stick out, so we're just going to snip that off. Okay. This was a two-sided paper that I believe is referred to as some kind of ombre, which is a color. And I'm going to leave the textured edge up, not that it makes any difference since it's mostly covered. Okay. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, I've got that white edge that's showing through, and not that that makes any difference, but I've spent so much time on this card. I can see me making some more of these. Now, if I was going to mass make these, I would mass make all the pieces first and then put them together. I think you know what I'm looking for here. There it is. Oh my goodness gracious. Ladies and gentlemen, this is like not the kind of thing I normally do. What do you think? Random Acts of Kindness Studios. I have to figure out where this one's going to go. Okay. So if I was going to mass make this, I would make like a whole bunch of fences and color them, and then I would make a bunch of these and color them, and I would make a bunch of these and color them, and then a bunch of these, and then I would put them together and have all my embellishments put together, and then decide what kind of cardstock I was going to put it on the back of. Okay. That was an exciting experience for me, and I appreciate you being here with me. If you haven't subscribed to my studio, please do so. It kind of helps me get the videos out there to people. I donate most of my cards to Random Acts of Kindness. I am in the process of making my fall cards. They need to go in the mail here before too very long, because the first day of fall is September 22nd on the calendar I'm looking at. Okay? And thank you for being here, and I hope you come back.